You know, I think if there's one thing I've learned about myself in the last year, it's that I have a very short attention span. A lot of games only keep my attention for a couple hours and then I can go years without playing them again. Wait, not that one. Don't worry about that one. Because of this, my Steam library is a little inflated. So for my New Year's resolution, I decided I'm going to go through every game in my Steam library and play it for at least an hour. Maybe I'll find something new to love. Maybe I'll dig myself further into a hole. And this time, for posterity's sakes, I'm recording it. I love to edit videos, but I've always been too critical of myself to really put myself out there.
I don't think you have the facilities for that, big man.
Starting with this video, I hope to change that. So welcome everyone to my channel, whether you're new here or if you've been hanging around for the last few years. Thanks. Today we are on our 5th game, and while we are breaking out of Age of Empires, we're basically doing the exact same thing. While incredibly similar to the rest of the Age of Empires series, there are a few differences like favor which have been introduced to the game. So welcome to Age of Mythology. We're going to see how far we can get into a campaign with only an hour, and like any other RTS game, I expect that I'm not going to get very far. We start with our protagonist Arkantos going through a trippy dream sequence where he quite literally talks to the goddess of warfare herself, who tells him he will soon be needed.
Oh shit, here we go again.
Arkantos is awoken on his boat approaching the grand city of Atlantis. We begin to catch up with our son when suddenly, it's a motherfucking kraken. And that's when we finally break into the game.
Boring!
At this point, my main concern is just making sure I understand that I know what I'm doing. I feel like when you've played enough Age of Empires games, you kind of get the gist of it, but you know, there's obviously some wacky shit going on around here, you know, with krakens and whatnot. Thankfully, Arkantos and his Chad ability swiftly kill the kraken, and we are able to move on to more important things, such as farming and gathering berry bushes. This is starting to sound awfully familiar. I gather up my small army, and sure, of course there's going to be an enemy attack. Arkantos and his chosen brave few warriors rush to attack the enemy landing on the beach. But with the first few enemies slain, Arkantos knows more are soon to follow.
It's about time.
Another giant kraken appears, smashing its slimy tentacles alongside of one of Atlantis' many dockyards. The battle is vicious, but altogether won by the Atlanteans. But alas, the battle is far from over as another kraken appears on the shoreline, throwing infantry 30 feet or more to their deaths. While many try, very few boats successfully land on the shores of Atlantis. That is until the final wave where our defenses are truly tested. And yeah, basically all of our troops die, but that's okay because the Atlantean army shows up. And with this slightly larger army than I had produced myself, I used them to finish off the enemy forces.
Nice.
So it turns out the enemy pirates steal the trident of Poseidon, allowing them control of the local sea creatures. Arkantos sets off to Troy, vowing to get the trident on the way there. We come upon the next enemy-held island and make a landing, starting the second mission. Like any Age of Empires game, the first thing you gotta do, increase your population capacity, start exploring. And of course, me being the greedy boy that I am, I decided to only focus on my economy and not worry about any of my military or anything like that. This went to be expected when suddenly I was attacked from both sides of my base. After building up my forces some, I decided to be a big boy and go on the offensive and decide to take out the enemy tower. And then they started attacking me with these crazy dog things, and I was pretty sure I was screwed, but thankfully their health depleted quick enough that it didn't end up being that much of a threat. Remembering back to the comment from Nowhere Man 7 on my Age of Empires 2 video, I figured with my 1400 wood, however much I had, that I should probably start building some farms. Shout out to all the new subscribers on the channel, especially this guy with a gem of a name. After just a little bit more back and forth, I finally was able to overcome the enemy with my obviously superior arms. Get it? Arms. Yeah, sorry, I'm still working on being funny. One swift Minotaur killing later, and we're well on our way to the third mission. Except that I guess this guy isn't actually dead. Arcantos meets up with Agamemnon and Ajax, where he then compliments us and then tells us to get stuffed, as we have to do basically the entire mission by ourselves. Like always, we're going to start off by scouting around the area. I accidentally kill a bear and then find some sheep or pigs or goats or whatever these are, so I can then feed them to my villagers. I then run into some of the enemy soldiers and we bravely fight them off. And they're going after my goats! We finally finish our town center, and then me being bad at RTS games really kicks back in. I spend entirely way too much time working on my early game economy, and then the enemy attacks in a relatively large-sized force. Thankfully, as you all know, I am a professional gamer, and I defeat the enemy.
You serious?
Too much wood, need more farms, too much wood, need more farms, too much wood, need more farms. Instead of raiding the enemy or doing anything else useful like scouting, I decide to turtle at my base, grow my economy, and make my army as big as I can. This way I can really see what all the units have to offer. Also, I remember that fishing is a thing, because, you know, it is in all of the other Age of Empires games as well. My walls and guard towers are starting to become somewhat useful, but sometimes they're just a little bit too late. Bruh, is that a fucking lion? I grow my army into what I feel like is a relatively overpowered force, even got my own lion, and then send them towards the enemy. And of course, like any good enemy should, they take the time to raid my base while I'm out destroying one of their bases. Thankfully, the evacuation goes well, and my troops show back up to defeat the enemy forces once again. I send my army off to the final dock, where I'm attacked by a giant bunch of statues. I destroy the final dockyard, and I am declared the victor. Overall, Age of Mythology is a great game, especially for its time. With a release date of 2002, this is a really familiar game to those of us who love the Age of Empires series. Thanks everyone for watching, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you in the next video.